Backsplash is an extrusion. Remember, we made an extrusion when we made our countertops, and now I'll make an extrusion for the backsplash in the kitchen. So that's just a material that goes up against the wall, and it protects the wall from any sort of splashing of liquids, mostly that would go up against the wall. Now, a backsplash is 6 inches usually, maybe 4 inches or 8 inches. But I like my backsplash to go all the way up to the base of the cabinets. So I'm going to say component, model in place. I'm still going to call it casework. And I'm going to do an extrusion. Now, when we did the countertop extrusions, Revit assumed that the reference plane was the floor. But I'm going to do an extrusion now, and Revit's going to say, well, what is the reference plane that we're going to deal with? So I need to pick one. So I'll say, okay, and I want to pick this wall as my reference plane. So everything that I create is going to be in reference to that plane. So when I give a thickness, I'm going to say that the thickness starts at the reference plane, and then it extends away from that reference plane. So I'll simply draw a line from here to here to here. I need to go all the way across to the face of this. I'll probably be putting some more cabinets in there. So I'm going to come all the way across. Now, this stove has a bit of its own backsplash that I have to worry about. Okay, so now I've made my reference plane. I need to give it a thickness. The extrusion start is going to be 0 because that's the plane that we picked. And then I'm going to make it 3/4 of an inch thick. And this backsplash could be 1/2 inch or 3/4, but I'll make it 3/4 of an inch. If you notice right now, if I didn't say anything else, in other words, if I didn't type inches here, then that would be 3/4 of a foot. Revit would make that 3/4 of a foot, which would be 9 inches. So I'm going to make it 3/4 of an inch. And because we're working with the ceramic tile, I'm going to still use that. But at some point in time, I'd probably change that back to a different material. So we'll say tile. And it's my 4 inch. Say okay. And okay. And okay. So now I have a backsplash there. Let's see if we go to the first floor and take our camera view, looking at what I just created. I just put a backsplash there. Now, I learned the hard way about using tile as a countertop. When I had my summer home built in northern Michigan, we put in tile for the countertop. And that's a big mistake because you have every separation of the tile is grout, so you have to clean that, and it's very hard material to keep to really keep clean. So I would never recommend using tile for a countertop. You might want to use it as a backsplash, but I think a solid material is a much better idea. But if you want to use tile, and I'm using tile here, but I'll change that later on. I'm using it just for demonstration purposes. So, okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like. Now we go back to the first floor. I have my section. I'm going to bring it over here. I'll flip it with the little arrows. And let's go to that section 2 now. And we can see that it's showing me the backsplash there. So I'll do the same thing. Architecture, component, model in place, casework. Okay. Okay. Now it's ready to begin. So I'm going to draw an extrusion. First question Revit says, I need to know where the reference plane is. Boom, I'll pick that. We can default to what I had before. And now I simply have to draw the boundaries of my backsplash. I just think it looks much richer if it goes all the way around or all the way up to the cabinets from the countertop. It's a better look, I believe. Okay, so there we go. And when I was drawing this, I noticed it didn't quite pick the piece that I wanted, so I'll come back here and align it. And we'll say okay. And we'll say okay. And then that's a simple way to draw your backsplashes, and that's simply making an extrusion, giving it a thickness and a boundary, and also giving it a material. So let's pull this down because I don't have the ceiling in there yet. That would just be confusing. ZE to zoom to the extents. And while I was doing that, I noticed I have a little gap here and here. I still need to deal with that as far as the cabinets go, but that looks pretty good.